Y'all, this is a very emotional video. I really wish I had more time to prepare for it, and I did. I just was so caught up that I had to use that time for other things. But this is a video about Kurt Angle. Everybody who watches wrestling knows who Kurt Angle is. This is a guy that didn't need any gimmicks. His character was an extension of himself. He was an Olympic gold medalist, so that was his character. Like everywhere he went, whether it was in TNA, Japan, WCW. I don't. He never wrestled for WCW, I don't think, but he was their champion. He's the only man to have held the world title for Japan, WCW, TNA, and WWE or F. Um, Everybody knows everything he did with the three eyes and the milk and the gold medals. You know, Team Angle, Team Wreck, the Alliance, you name it. Uh, I'm just gonna talk about his TNA run. I think he faced Brock Lesnar in Japan while he was in TNA for the title. I do know that Kurt Angle did win the title. He fought, what was his name? That guy's name. Yuji Nagata. Great match. I saw that match. Great match. I remember when he first came in, his first pay-per-view was Bound for Glory. It was Jeff Jarrett versus Sting, and Angle was the enforcer. And then when the referee got taken out, he was like, let's get it on. He played the role of the referee. And then he had that feud with Joe. A lot of people are bitching, saying that they did it too early. You know, and maybe they did, but in a way, it was a hot feud. Nobody can deny that shit. It was a hot feud. And this is when I started watching Impact again, and I enjoyed it. You know, he fought, well, what was it, Team Cage, Team Christian Cage, and he was a top guy in TNA. He had been ever since he walked in the door. When the NWA dropped TNA, just like they drop everything because they're fucking garbage. They're supposed to be the hottest indie fed around, and now nobody even knows what the fuck they're doing. Whatever. They had their vacant title in a King of the Mountain match, and I ordered that pay per view. It was Slammiversary 2007, and Kurt Angle won the first ever TNA World Championship in King of the Mountain. You had Sting there, you know, which I thought Sting was gonna win. You had Christian, Chris Harris, and not one of them, not one of them. It was AJ and AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Yeah, not Sting, not Sting. Sting fought Christopher Daniels that night, and he buried him too. Well, he didn't bury him, but you know, he didn't put him over. Um, and then Angle was a top guy. Turned heel like right after, like won that championship and turned heel. And then he took Christian Coalition guys and made the Angle Alliance. They built a whole show around him because they thought that he would draw like John Cena. And to an extent, he did. He was the main event that year. And rightfully so, man. He was one of the top guys in WWE. He was one of the well-known guys. He was a huge name. And on top of all that, he was a phenomenal wrestler. He was probably the best wrestler in the world. He was the best wrestler in the world. So why not push him? I mean, did they have plans for their homegrown talent? Maybe, but this was the right decision, in my opinion. I mean, how many people do you think would have been watching if they put the belt on the guys that people wanted back then, like Sabin and Jay Lethal? I mean, I would have watched, but you know, they did this angle where they put all the titles on Angle, not the TV title, the fucking X Division title, the World title, and he had both championships, tag team championships, because Joe was his partner, but he turned on Joe. I didn't have a problem with that. I was a fan. I mean, I was a young guy, but still, I was a fan of that. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and Angle did get more eyeballs on the show. Yes, he did. No pun intended. He was the only guy in there that came from WWE that really made an impact, and he was one of the only guys from WWE that went there and actually stayed. He probably is the only one. He's the only one from WWE that came in and stayed there. You know, I mean, you got Ken Anderson and the Hardys and all that, but they never stayed that long like Kurt Angle did. And he's had the best feuds in TNA. You know, and then he had the championship reigns. He lost to Sting and then he won it back, and then he put over Samoa Joe at Lockdown. You know, he wanted to. He wanted to build up Joe to make Joe look better than him, and that's what he did. And then he forms the main event Mafia. Well, he had that feud with AJ Styles. It was a great feud. You guys should watch it. But AJ was his friend, and then they broke up because of Karen. And yeah, they had a great feud. Their match at Slammiversary was really good, and Then he forms the Main Event Mafia. Now he wanted to form that group to put over the young guys. The whole reason he came to TNA was because he wanted to wrestle those talents because he thought they were the best in the world. And TNA tweaked his idea and had them bury all the TNA frontline guys. I thought that was terrible. They shouldn't have done that shit, and I don't know why they did it, but he forms the Main Event Mafia. He's the leader, even though Sting was the champion. And then he has that feud with Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett beats him at Bound for Glory. So he keeps feuding with Jeff until he picks up a W. Then they were going to do this one thing where Devon Dudley was going to face him at pay-per-view, while Bubba Dudley got a title shot at the world title, but that was terrible, so they just put all those guys in the Fatal 4-Way. Yeah. Then he had that feud with Sting, overpower for the Mafia. And then he managed to steal the world title. Because Sting lost the belt to Mick Foley, and then Mick Foley lost it to Angle in the King of the Mountain. The minute Angle takes the championship, he grows out his beard to look like the godfather of the Mafia. And he has the guys take out Sting and remove him from the group. So then that feud continues, and then he goes to feud with Matt Morgan. Because he had lost the championship to AJ Styles, who went on to fight Sting. He feuds with Matt Morgan, and he puts Morgan over even though he wins the match. He made Morgan look good. I wish Morgan had stayed. And then he has that feud with Desmond Wolfe, where he also he beat Wolfe both times, but he made Wolfe look like $1,000. I think Wolfe would have been the world champion if Hogan and Bischoff didn't come in and kill his career. But yeah, he disbanded the Mafia after that, Bound for Glory. But he started having matches with young guys that he was putting over. You know, he put over Amazing Red once. And by I say putting over, he didn't lose, but like he made the guys look better than they did before. And then he did that throughout 2010. He wanted to be in the bottom of the Bound for Glory series so he could work his way up. And then when Immortal got formed on 10-10-10, they turned on everybody, including Angle. And then Angle feuds with Jeff Jarrett. And they bring back Karen Jarrett. Karen Angle is now Karen Jarrett. Oh my God, that was a nightmare. It was a terrible feud. They had Kurt Angle go to their wedding. They brought in his kids. I don't know why they utilized him like that. The only way I'll defend that is if they doubled the man's pay. But he had shoved Karen's head in fucking cake, and he loses at Lockdown, but he wins at Summerversary 9. Yeah, I didn't like it. And then after all that, he freaking turns heel again, man. And he wins the championship. I thought he was going to lose the championship to Crimson. And he goes on to Bound for Glory to face Bobby Roode, who you could see they were doing something with, but it kind of fell out of nowhere because he was still in Beer Money. Yeah, there's Taylor Swift. And he was supposed to lose to Bobby Roode, and he wanted to lose to Bobby Roode. But Hogan didn't want it, so they made Angle retain in a shitty fashion. That show left me scratching my fucking head. I bought it. And then he loses to James Storm. And then even though Storm loses to Bobby Roode, Angle feuds with James Storm. And he puts him over. He wins, but he makes Storm look good. And then he forms a tag team with AJ Styles. He turns face again. Angle does. And they were a pretty good tag team. You know, they had teamed up for the rest of the year, you know. Even when they were fighting off aces and eights. And then they didn't win the titles at Bound for Glory. They didn't win the titles at Bound for Glory, so what they did was they started going after the aces and eights, ripping their mask off. You know, Kurt Angle unmasked Mike Knox. And it got to a point where the aces and eights were just so freaking dominant that Sting and Kurt Angle formed the new Main Event Mafia. You know, they had Joe, Magnus, Rampage Jackson, and they had a feud with the Main Event Mafia versus the aces and eights. And they had a couple matches, you know. I think they had Lethal Lockdown, even though that was before they got formed again. And at Hard Justice, they had a match, and Angle couldn't be there, but they pinned Devon and had Devon removed from TNA. So yeah, they did cripple the Aces and Eights, because after that feud, Aces and Eights were slowly disbanding. Until Anderson came in and finished a job there. And then after that, Angle was in the Hall of Fame. You know, he was fighting Bobby Roode for like his right to be in the Hall of Fame. And then after that, after his feud with Bobby Roode, which was a great feud, by the way, he did put Bobby Roode over. This man put anyone he was in the ring with over, whether he won or lose or draw. He was the general manager of TNA. You know, clashing with MVP for control of the show and Dixie Carter. He was the director of wrestling operations for the rest of the year. When 2015 started, he resigned from that position to get back in the ring and fight MVP and the Beatdown Clan. And then he faces Bobby Lashley in England, and wins the World Championship. It was a Destination America call, but he was a good champion. You know, he feuded with Eric Young and the Beatdown Clan and MVP. And then he made all those guys look good too. Like he made Eric Young look like a main eventer. He feuded with MVP and Lashley and Eric Young. And then he finally entered into that program with EC3, the next top guy. And he put EC3 over, and EC3 won and got the title. EC3 was a champion for the rest of the year until Bound for Glory. Angle ended up fighting Eric Young after leaving for a while. You know, he wants wrestling in the Olympics, 2020. But yeah, that was a good match at Bound for Glory. And that was TNA's last programming of that year. Now this year, of course, he announces his retirement tour. And he has matches with guys he feuded with, new guys like Drew Galloway and Bobby Roode. And then he fights Bobby Lashley 1 year after their match for the title the year before, where he beat Lashley for the title. And he has the match. His farewell tour was good. I wish he had buried Mike Bennett 6 feet under, but it was still good. And then, of course, Lashley goes crazy and destroys him, like I talked about in the last video, and that was the end. I definitely hope Kurt will be back. I know he's back in wrestling. He's fighting Rey Mysterio, but this guy had one hell of a wrestling career, and his 10-year tenure in TNA was an unforgettable one. The man put over everybody he was in the ring with. So yeah, hashtag thank you Kurt Angle, for the memories, for the fun, for the matches, for the feuds, for the rivalries, for the championship reigns, and you'll be missed. I hope wherever you go, Kurt, you'll be happy and healthy. God bless Kurt Angle. Thank you guys for watching it. It's real. It's damn real. Hashtag thank you, Kurt.